All right, let's get going with our demonstration here. Dave Kerley is going to show us how to do his rustic owls. Woo!
I've started doing owls. I've seen owls, online. I've seen them here at different places, and they're always, shiny. They're always finished to the T. And I've started thinking to myself, I'd like to use the bark as the wings. I'd like to use the texture of the tool, and maybe even in some cases the punkiness of the wood as texture. And I'm not sure if I'm not sure where the camera is. Okay, so we are here. So this one right here, as I just did Thursday, and it's probably not showing up very well. If we could zoom on that, that would be great. So you can see there's some punkiness there. I had a better tool cut on here, and then I went over it again to make it less smooth, just to get some feathers, if you will. So texture for feathers. Similarly, I didn't do any sanding on the head, and I've got texture. Mostly this texture is from the grain. Let's see where we are here. So this one also, I tried using a skew, as you might be able to see. There's a little divot out of there. So usually I put the skew away when I get back cut like that. So I recently have been doing more of these owls on a stump kind of thing. I have also done owls that are on a hollow form. So this is a hollow form, and I just thought it's a nice little top for a hollow form. So also, if I can stand out of the way and find the camera. Okay, so this one I played around with some just outlining the grain to add some details. I've done, sometimes I'll use a separate piece of wood for the eyes. I'll drill a hole and make an eye and put it on there. I found that was too time consuming, and I'm actually getting closer to these heads. Well, this one right here, where I've actually used a saber-tooth bit to get some texture to it, and just use that same cone-shaped bit to pierce a hole in the eye. This is one that I would probably add flame to, use a torch to enhance the texture, and also get rid of some of the fuzzies, that are on it. So I think that's enough of talking about that. What I'm gonna do is one that is not on a stump for this class, for this. Just getting some feedback. So I'll talk about this log a little bit. When I went, I was cutting these up. This is sassafras, by the way. Sassafras that's seasoned. It just came out of my yard or the woods, and try to find something that's going to retain the bark. This is a little bit oblong, and as I was cutting these on the bandsaw to length, I also cut a little bit of this off, because this is just going to be flipping around and being off-centered. It's just weight that's going to make, I'll have to remove this anyway on the lathe. So I removed some of this on the bandsaw just to save that step. So looking at the length of this, I want to turn this away and leave this in the back. And as I set this up on the lathe, I'll be just sort of eyeballing that around, and then the first thing I'm going to do is cut a tenon down here. So as I position things, I'm using safety centers on both ends. They cut into the wood. if I get a catch, it'll just spin type of thing. So I'm looking, as I said, to remove this. So I'm going to center that about a half an inch there, bring this up. And I'm just looking to center it this way. And I'm also looking where my tenon's going to be to the body. As I come around, I'm going to end up with quite a bit of this gone. What I'm going to do, do we have an overhead shot? I'm on the overhead. Okay, so as I come around, I'm looking at the distance between where I'm going to be cutting to the opposite side here where I'm cutting away. And you can see that's, yeah, there's quite a bit there. So I think I'm going to reposition it just a little bit. I'm parallel on the axis to the, let's say, the breast, if you will, of the bird. So when I, off-center turning is that this log is off-center, but it's still parallel to that main axis. It's buried inside there, but I'm looking to get a positive, a definite, connection there. And that's pretty good. We're getting a lot of scratch.
Yeah, we're getting a lot of scratching.
Breathing? My heavy breathing?
No, it's your beard.
Oh.
Yeah, let's try that.
No?
We got it.
If I turn my head like this?
Yeah. Just,
All right.
we'll be good.
That does sound like I can hear it. So I'm losing a little bark here, but I'm going to be cutting some of that back anyway. All right. Before I start turning, I'll explain a little bit of how I did this one. I'm looking at, I've got a couple of center marks that I've got on this side. So when I'm turning this part, I'm positioning this. This is going to be spinning around quite a bit, but I'm positioning this so I'm doing similarly, removing the bark for the breast of the bird. And I would probably, since I've done these, I would probably go a little deeper on this cut. And the back, the back would have potentially a separation between there, and that would just have, the feet would be smaller, or where it sits on the stump would be smaller. And then when I go to turn the top portion, in this particular one, I used a worm screw. I don't do that anymore because things disappear on you. And but I would have a tenon on here and line this up so that the head can be turned, and then I'll take that divot out of there. So in the hands-on, whoever's taking that, we could do. I've got some pieces that we could do this with, or we could do how I'm getting ready to do this one.
How do you deal with the pith being in the center of the piece?
I don't care about it. And one of the reasons that I don't care is this sassafras doesn't seem to check a whole lot. I don't care as well. I've had some that have cracked right down the middle. To me, it's just character. This is not, I've said this before about the jack-o'-lanterns I do. This isn't fine art, it's folk art, you know, so if things crack, I generally keep them around long enough. I wouldn't put this in a show or something if I thought it was going to crack after the fact. But if it is cracked, you know, it doesn't bother me. And that's true with the heads as well, depending on the wood that I'm using. So I do have an example. This is cherry. I don't know if you can see that split right open, but it still has a lot of character. To me, it just adds character. This one might have, you know, I might have gotten a little too much character here, you know. You know, so. But it's in the back, yeah. And when I go to the heads, if I see some imperfection before I turn the eyes, I'll try to make it where it's going to be, you know, on the, you know, pointing down towards the body. Okay, so what I'm doing here is getting ready to, I'm going to remove some of this material, and I do want to kind of gauge this, and then turn a tenon down here. I think because this is on wheels, it's wobbling a little more than it normally would be, or maybe I need to turn it up a little bit for the frequency.
How offset were you when you started that? From one side to the other? Half inch? Did you measure it before you started?
I never measure, and I don't measure when I cook either.
I mean,
so.
approximately?
But I would say I'm maybe 3/4 off center.
Okay.
The width of the drive here is about where I'm off center.
Okay.
But that's not a, you know, it's not cut in stone. It's gonna, each piece is gonna be, you know, when you eyeball it to get to where you need to go. I probably should have checked this before, but it looks like I've got 50 millimeter jaws on those. So that's about what I use at home. I got a pretty good sized knot right here. I'll probably get away from that. always do. Check that again here.
Drop the mic, he's done.
We do that after.
I know, you.
Sound good? Checking that knot to see if it's not gonna separate on me here. Looks pretty good. Usually just try to get down below the point where this is going to interfere with the chuck, and then just break that off, maybe. There we go. The majority of this is supported, but you know, with the tailstock when I'm turning this. I'm going to start a little bit more on this end, and then to establish where I'm going to part this off later on. So as I'm coming around, I'm looking to see, you know, where the bark is going to end up. And I think I'm going to be removing maybe another 1/4 inch out of here. We'll see where that ends up.
Are you using a bow gouge?
I'm using a bow gouge. Getting a little, you can see I'm getting, this is not necessarily desirable. This is better. And I think if I cut more of this, I'm just going to get more of this.
What you're talking about is you're cutting all the way around.
I'm cutting, sorry.
What do you mean?
What I'm talking about is the angle or the profile of the bark to the wood. You know, if you think about the wings, you know, I'm getting kind of a, you know, a parabolic shape here versus where this is kind of choppy and then all of a sudden it cuts away. So just where I put the wood kind of ended up that way. And I think if I try to remove it, it's just going to get worse. So some of it is still going to come away, but I'm going to go ahead and leave that for the demonstration. So I'm going to start my point where I'm going to cut it, part this off, but I'm not going to go too deep with that. It's just kind of a reference for me right now. I stop pretty frequently just to gauge how things are going. That's looking pretty good. Looks pretty balanced across there. That's pretty close. I might want to spread this open a little bit more with another pass. So you can see I've got, you know, a little smooth, it's fairly smooth up here with the cut, and I actually don't mind a little ruffles, you know, so I may pass this and try to get a less of a smooth cut up here. I want to play with this bottom end a little bit before I go too far. kind of have a ridge right here. I want to smooth that out, and then I think I'm pretty close. So I don't know if the camera picks this up very well, but I was kind of doing just a little wiggle as to get some tool marks in here. If that picks that up very well or not, but. So I've got some, sassafras is a fairly open grain. So I've got open grain as texture. I've got tool marks as texture. I'll go from there. So I'm okay with this. We can kind of see that portion of it there. I've got a lump down here I'm gonna get rid of. How do you get tool marks? See, that's going to be the challenge.
Yeah.
That's going to be the challenge, the only challenge in the hands-on class. I'm gonna. All I'm doing is I'm actually just letting the contact come away and then beginning it again. So this isn't. I'm kind of embarrassed because I'm not doing it as rough as I want to. It's coming out too smooth. I'm going to try something else. Yeah, whatever you learn, forget it. I'm going to try this tool. This is a roughing gouge, and I'm going to just try to do a similar, thing. But I should get more pronounced tool marks with this. So you can see I'm kind of, they're bigger tool marks. It's kind of a speeds and feeds thing a little bit too. The faster you go across, you're almost going to get a spiraling effect, right? So especially with this one. What's that?
Come off the bevel and let the edge just kind of drag it.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm getting some tear out, which I don't mind. I might even try to go this way with that one more time. All right. So now I'm going to come off the end and round the head a little bit. I've got a few heads here I can kind of use for size. That's always good to have when you're making a few of these. Just to kind of get, this is a little bit bigger body than I'm normally making. I don't know if you can notice there is some checking on the end of this, but with sassafras, I find it doesn't get much more than that. It just checks and then that's it. Get a little ahead of myself. Because I'm unsupported, I'm just trying to make real light cuts. I used to try to make a cup that matched the diameter of the head. I don't do that anymore. I just I make a cone, and the bottom of the cone is much deeper than the contact point. So I'm always riding with the head on the ring right there. I'll just grab one of these and kind of get the size. That kind of looks okay. I need to go a little deeper with my cut, but that's about the right size. You could kind of think, the thirds rule and stuff like that. This might be a quarter or maybe 2/5 or something like that, but I have one bigger over here somewhere. Sorry. This one's kind of big. I haven't cut the eyes out yet. If you notice, get that in the shot somewhere over here. This is not very spherical. It's almost like an egg shape. And I'm not really going for perfect spheres because everybody's head is different, just like every owl's head's different, So sometimes, if I like, it's a little wonky, I'll just look at it to say, where's it going to look good? Is it going to be kind of good that way? And this is probably a pretty good size for this as well. Maybe a little big, but I might use that one as that's a demo. So I want to go a little deeper.
Now, the depth of that determines whether or not it has an Ichabod crane neck or not.
Yeah, it never really will because it's a sphere that's going on here, so like an Ichabod neck is long and skinny, right? Whoops, sorry. This will, it will, if you make it too big, it'll set down too far and then it'll look like it's hiding or something, which could be what you want to go for. This is all. What's that? All right, it's in the way. because I do want to go a little bit more vertical as I'm coming in. Thank you. All right. That's not too bad, but I still feel like I'm hitting somewhere else other than the top of the rim. Maybe I just gotta round that off. So what I like about this, I never sand. I don't sand anything when I'm doing these. So I'm looking for the texture. I'm looking for, if I got tear out, I'm not too concerned about it. So now I probably could use the tailstock again. I didn't bring my catcher's mitt. I was going to hand the first row a catcher's mitt.
Oh.
Thank you.
Yeah, next time we'll just have catcher's mitts for the front row. It's a lot easier to take that out.
Yeah. Maybe the head. I'll shoot for that. Always turn your stock all the way around before you turn the lathe on, especially on a demo. I don't know if you noticed when that stopped, it kind of jiggled there. So I'm ended up with a little nub. I cut this off with a chisel, or I sand it off. I think I don't think I actually brought a chisel with me to cut it.
Give it to one of your people in the audience.
Yeah, I've got a knife. I got this little Dremel. This is actually what they call a scrubber, but you can put loop sandpaper on it. It's kind of nice, but it's battery charged or it's chargeable. You can't run it with the plug, and the batteries don't last very long. So if you're sitting there doing a lot of sanding, you got to constantly charge it. But it'll do this. Maybe. It gets it out of the way so I can stand it up and continue on. So.
Dave, is one preferred over the other as far as having the base or not having the base?
You mean like on a stump?
Yeah.
It's, I don't know. I mean, I like these, and I've started doing more of these, but I like these as well, so I've sold quite a few of these. Haven't sold any of these because I haven't put them out there yet, so I don't know about that. How am I doing on time? Okay.
Dave, have you tried a twisted axis to get the wings to extend further down on the body? A little twisted axis?
A twisted axis off, well, I mean,
After you started to form the wings?
I've readjusted sometimes, you know, like I could readjust to maybe, this didn't turn out as bad as I originally thought, but you know, this should be more, you know, kind of coming down like that, right? You know, so you know,
It's an injured bird too.
it could be, yeah, it could be a rescue bird, you know. Okay, so any other questions about this before I move on to the sphere?
Hey, Dave,
Yep.
how about the tool that makes the fuzzy Christmas tree? Did you try that on?
I haven't tried it, but I've thought about it, you know, fairly recently with Bruce's, you know, meeting last week, and then also Tom when he was doing some at the Fallsburg. I've started thinking about that. I don't think I would want to be as dramatic, but what maybe might work is to put those on and then knock them off, and then I'd have kind of, you know, some texture there. So I guess if I've got time to turn a sphere, I'll turn a sphere. Yep. So I've been kind of experimenting with a lot of ways to turn spheres. I've done I've done my own 3D printed versions that if you take a cylinder that's the same diameter as it is wide, you can do that. I have some of those parts here with me. I'm not going to do that today because I found one that I like kind of better. I've run across a number of ways to do it. You know, you can spend money on a jig. I think Carter makes one. I don't like spending money, so what I tried to do is figure out how to do it, you know, without that jig.
You're in the wrong hobby.
I like to focus my money, yeah, you know, because I don't have empty or deep pockets like some people do, you know. So I got my list, and you know, I've got certain things that I want to spend my money on. So what I've come up with most recently is what I call it's like a storyboard, or I call it a story card. And I'm still working on this a little bit, but what I've got is a kind of a step down to get to a sphere. And what am I showing?
Turn towards this camera.
Okay. So it's a step down. Let's see. So these lines I would mark on the cylinder, and then I would use calipers to gauge how deep I would go, and I just part down to those. And then I just zip off the corners. And for me, it works good. And then this is a kind of a check radius. So I'm gonna show that one. It is printed. Many of you know I have a 3D printer, and yeah, that was, yeah. Someone pointed out, you know, after I made like my first print, yeah, that's a, you know, $1,000, whatever it was, you know, and I'm like, until I make the next one, then it's a $500 one. You know, so. But I mean, it's been kind of a, like, all right, you know, just mainly because of these owl heads. It's like, how can I make spheres good enough and quickly enough? And let's see where I'm at here. I'm a little big, so I'm gonna come down on that. I'll just start using this. So I find that if I lay this flat across this way, I'll just put that gauge on there. I also find that I tend to drop that on the floor and gets misplaced. I'm just going to set one dimension here, kind of like what I did here before, but I'll just turn this on. And close enough. Okay, so I'm going to clear out some material on the outside of this. This is sassafras. go down to there with it. I'll just use a parting tool. So the tangent point for the sphere is on this surface right here. Those two surfaces, I should say. So I just keep stepping this down. I'm going to probably change these a little bit because I have a step that is so small you can hardly tell the difference where I'm at in the middle. It's just not worth the trouble for that. So, but I'll take these down. One more. So now I'm just knocking the edges off of these. And I've tried to skew before, and I can do it one way, but the other way I'll send it flying across, so I can use a skew. So before I lose my reference point, I'm going to make that a little deeper. It's good enough for me. This is the part where the catcher's mitt might come in handy. George is ready. All right. Okay. This may be a little greener than I'm normally using. The red bud's wearing off, yeah. Can't even hit it. See if that sander's got any juice left in it. And I don't turn it the other way to try to make it better, because I've found that every time I do that, it makes it worse, so. Let's see if a knife will get that. Yeah, that's right. Okay, so. Up front? I kind of want it closer so you can kind of see the, how about this one? Yeah, that's good.
Put it back where it's in the light, by your, where you're almost.
Over here?
Put it right there, there you go.
Okay. So what I'm looking for now is where's the best place for the eyeballs? And, you know, sometimes I think, well, you know, you got the end grain here, so maybe I could hide some of the end grain. Am I gonna come around to, let me find it and then I'll show it to the camera. That might be a little off there. Here we go. So what I've done is I've used this grain to position a vertical line here. And that somewhere in there is going to be where I put my eyes. And I've got a compass and I'll throw in a, also put in a horizontal line. And this is not science, you know, science. It's just arbitrary where you're going to put them, whatever looks good. So far I've got a horizontal line. I've used the compass to put some points out here, and this is my horizontal line, not that. And I'm going to put the compass on here, open up the diameter, so I get some overlap on these eye hole or these eye placements. We'll draw a circle. And then I'll draw another circle. They're kind of light, but I don't know if you can see them. But so I've got two circles. They intersect. When we get done cutting these out, they'll have a straight line through there, hopefully. And once again, am I doing okay on time? Once again, you know, I've got a 3D printer, so I play around. I'm an engineer, so I play around, and I've developed a whole bunch of things to help me with cutting these eyes out or doing other things with spheres. I used them, and I decided they're too complicated, so I don't use them anymore. They're for sale if anybody wants to buy. Not really. But what I have found so far, the best thing that works is something I got from Tom Sampson. Let me put this back on. Okay, so these are some chucks. He's made these up with a rubber O-ring. Just goes right inside the. There it is. This goes right inside the fort jaw chuck. It leaves a little black mark, but you know The part about sanding, it's like, I don't want to sand, but I got to sand that away a little bit or do something with it. Yeah, yep. So that, and then this guy, he's got a nut inside there. So it fits right on the same deal right here. Fits right on there. So now it's a matter of lining up the eye with the ball. And I'll try to just see how close I am to the center. I'm way off, so, well, it's not very tight, that's why. All right, so. It's a little wobbly. Could be because my sphere is wobbly. Close enough. Detail gouge. I'm doing a bit of a concave surface in here, so it's a bit of a cup. Once again, it's close enough. Here's where you want to try to be as consistent from one eye socket to the next one as possible. They look a little goofy, but you know, if you get it, if it's a little goofy, it's a goofy owl. A little bit bigger on that one there. The last part of the head is where I would put the beak, so this is where I start to think, which is the best, top and bottom. This is kind of a pointy head right here, so I think I'm gonna make that the top. And as far as like the beak area, I just kind of make a little bit of a mark right here, try to aim for something. Oh. Then I just sand a flat spot.
Maybe the overhead camera?
So that's how I finish those off. So I have been using a torch to add character to this too. I can show you that. I mean, this one was torched. This one was also, I used, excuse me, got some dust in my throat. A little bit of, it's actually the madrone juice that I still got left over. And I've used madrone juice with like shellac, 50-50, like almost like a sand or sealer. And madrone juice, shellac, and then the alcohol, denatured alcohol. So this probably could use another coat of something that's like a satin, if I wanted to go that route. The same thing I did, I burned, torched the, this would go good in your 1970s living room with your pine torched furniture, but. So that's what I did there. I didn't do that to the base because I wanted to distinguish the two. I might add some kind of sand or seal, just something to, make it not raw wood, onto this. So I could show that torching if you wanted me to. I do have the torch here, but if we're good on time, we can wrap up. It won't take very long at all. I just got to make sure I don't burn myself. Yeah. So there's a better kind of torch out there, which is like a trigger operated. This one is trigger ignite, but not like when you let off the trigger, it doesn't stop. So anyway, we're gonna camera good. Doesn't take much. This is the hard one because you gotta watch the flame, otherwise you burn yourself. Okay, the other thing I do, since I get this stuff out of my yard, is I do this actually before I turn it, but I'll take a good stiff brush and just brush all the stuff out of the bark. There could be, insects, things like that. There could be, lichen, whatever. The lichen's not going to hurt anything, but the other thing that I do with these is I put them in the microwave, or I put them in my convection kiln at like 130 for 24 hours. Microwaves takes a minute, you know, a minute with this, it's going to be hot enough to kill any insects inside, that type of thing. And, but I'll use that brush. I'll also, you know, kind of brush off some of the soot that's going on there. And that's pretty much it. That's my job.
All right. Do we have any questions for Dave?
You saw that I had a little nib left over. On a lot of these, I just go down to a nib size, and then I'll sand that. So I leave the nib this high. That's one way I've done it. Another way is to actually just drill a hole, and that's where that other contraption kind of came in. It would hold the sphere steady, so I could actually drill a hole into it. And then you can make your own little, you know, eyeballs and whatever they might be. Bigger, maybe a different kind of wood, whatever. I have actually like this a little bit better. You know, this isn't done yet. I may, you know, torch it. I may do some other things. But this lends me to get, you know, creative with maybe I, you know, put in paint or something like that, you know, and you could use a lot of different things, but.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, we can make them, you could do penguins. It'll get a little bit different head, you know, they could be penguins, yeah. Any other questions? All right.
Okay, thank you.